Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back. Hopefully it's not too windy out here, but it may be, so I apologize if it is windy. We do have a storm coming. It's not a very big storm, but we've had a lot of rain this week, actually. So I haven't gotten as much done in the garden as I wanted to because of the rain. But, you know, it's good for the plants, just not good for the gardener. This week, we have cleaned out a lot more beds. I've got this part here is an extension of the perennial bed that's very ugly and overgrown because I haven't weeded that out yet. But it's going to be an extension of the perennial bed with more perennials. I have some thyme already growing in the house because I apparently killed my thyme. It got a little too much shade from the runner beans last year after I cut it back heavily. Yeah, so my thyme has died. So I started more thyme. And I'm going to put it down on this end where it's not going to get as much shade. I also have some other things that I wanted to put in there that I have not yet started the seeds for. So hopefully we'll get to those. But that's what that is for. This area down here, I used to grow corn there. Last year I had sweet potatoes. This year I put the posts up. Those are going to be for my cherry tomatoes. I'm only going to do 4 this year because we don't eat that many cherry tomatoes. I've tried the dehydrating them and everything, and they're okay. But that's not our main source of tomatoes. I'm gonna grow 2 sunrise bumblebees because that was definitely our favorite last year, and 2 of the blueberries cherry tomatoes, which is more of a traditional tomato flavor. But it's a very good producer. I had one of those down in that area before, but I didn't have good stakes. It was huge and bushy and overgrown, so it liked growing there. But I was trying to use those thin metal little stakes that are like 5 feet tall. Yeah, they all eventually fell over. So I've got good 2x2, 8-foot tall stakes in, so I think they will do well. In the bed in front of it, I'm going to put, hopefully, Yamato cream watermelons, which I tried to grow last year. I only had a few seeds. I got them from a seed swap, so for one, I don't know how old they are, honestly. I tried to grow a few last year, and my husband accidentally mowed over part of them, and then my son weed whacked the rest of them, not realizing that I had made a bed there because the weeds had grown around them a bit and they didn't realize that. So I only have like 4 seeds left. I'm going to try and grow them there. If I can't get them to grow, I'll probably put some other kind of melon there. But instead of just like filling up the ground, I'm gonna put a couple of mounds, like a little mound of dirt, of compost, and see how they grow like that. I also have, let's see, this little spot here is only little for the planting area. That is going to be for my pumpkins. Several years ago, I joined a collaboration, Cherokee Tan Pumpkin Challenge with Deep South Homestead, and they're trying to spread the Cherokee Tan pumpkin seeds because it was almost extinct. Very few people had the seeds, so they're really trying to spread it around and get them back into more circulation. So she sent me some seeds. I put 3, almost right where the camera is sitting right now, very close to that. 3 seeds there, 1 under my tree, and 1 on a to go up a fence. I got 1 pumpkin going up the fence. I got a huge plant going up the tree, but I never got any pumpkins off of it. But those 3 that were over here, I got 23 pumpkins off of them. Now they're not huge pumpkins, they're like 4 or 5 pound pumpkins, but very prolific. However, the vines can be 30 feet long. So yeah, they were in this bed. They were going up the trellis into the beans. They were in that bed there. They're everywhere. So the year after that, and then the year after that, I tried to grow them in other parts of the yard where I could keep them more contained. However, they didn't like growing there. So I haven't gotten any pumpkins since that first year. So I've decided to stop trying to deny where they want to grow, and I'm going to grow them over here. I'm going to try to keep the vines curled. I'm going to use some bamboo stakes and just kind of like move the vines in a spiral and see if I can keep it a little more contained, because they were like also going in the neighbor's yard. The neighbor had to turn the vine around at his bushes. Trying to avoid that, but I still need pumpkins. So, gonna try to coil them and just kind of use some bamboo stakes and move them around daily. That's the plan. So, we'll see how that goes. I might end up with all my beds covered in pumpkin again. If I do though, I'll have a lot of pumpkins. So, maybe if I can get enough pumpkins, and actually get them canned instead of eating them all fresh, then I won't need to grow pumpkins next year. Maybe. Anyway, that's what that area is for. I'm not worried about weeding it out because the pumpkins will take care of that mostly. I just weeded out the like 2x2. Yeah, about a 2x2 area. That'll get them started, and they'll take care of the weeds pretty much after that. Weeds won't bother them. There's some of them will still grow up in between the pumpkin vines, so it won't totally kill everything there. But I'm not going to need to worry about the weeds choking out the pumpkins. My marshmallow is coming back huge. Very happy with that. The hyssop is greening up again. It apparently grows on the old stems. But unfortunately, all the feverfew that I had doesn't seem to have come back at all. Look at these potatoes and peas. Oh, so much growth. Now most of the peas down on that end have started to grab onto the trellis already. The ones down here, these were older seed. They're a little bit slower. But look at all the potatoes. You can't even tell where the difference is between what I planted last summer, late summer, and what I planted just recently. You can't even tell where the line is. So much growth, and they all came up about the same. So if one thing, I have learned that I can plant potatoes as soon as I harvest, and I don't have to worry about storing them in the house. My runner beans are growing. Doesn't look like they're all up, but almost. I started to weed out the other trellis. I got one side done, and the rain stopped me from the other side, so I don't have the purple beans planted yet. But the runner beans are growing good. Now, with these two wooden beds, you may not be able to see it, but on this one, there is some fencing, a small piece of fencing that goes between the posts. and this one is just 2 posts. I actually had those switched last year because I was trying to grow a melon up on that end of the bed, which did not go well because the oregano kind of shadowed it, and I thought it died actually, but I later found it growing under the oregano. It was still alive, but the fruit was not exactly ripe by the time frost came once I did get it up on the trellis. But also last year my sunflowers did not do well down near where I'm going to put the cherry tomatoes. They don't like the ground over there. Sunflowers loved being in the ends of these beds. So all my corners have a sunflower in them. And I switched these because this bed, I'm going to put Malabar spinach up, and it can get quite wide. So I've got the fencing there. I'm going to have a sunflower on each side and the Malabar in the middle, and hopefully the Malabar will fill that out. The sunflowers are already planted. The Malabar likes really warm soil, so I hadn't put it in yet, but I've got actually 3 different kinds of sunflowers planted. This bed has they're supposed to be 10 to 12 feet tall. When I grew them there before, they were 14 feet tall. Huge. 1 head, but it was big heads, okay? 1 in each corner. In the other ones, there is another kind of sunflower. I really should have looked up the names before I started talking about them. There's one that's supposed to have multiple heads, but only 8 to 10 feet tall. And I had 1 seed left of like this burgundy color sunflower. I tried to grow them a couple years ago and none of them germinated. I had 1 seed left. So I threw it in there and we'll see if it comes up. It may not though. Hopefully it does, because the picture looked really gorgeous. I wanted to see what they looked like in person. It's not as tall though. So the corners have sunflowers. Now there in the middle is oregano. It's 2 plants. I just cut a brown shopping bag full off of there. Just spring growth. That was 2 plants. My older oregano is actually trying to take over the perennial bed. But now, onto my favorite part of spring. The clematis is blooming and they're so pretty. Well, at least I got that shut in. The rain is now here. Thanks for coming along with me today. May the Father bless you. Shalom.